Happy Monday. Hi. I miss you guys. Um, well, I hope everything's been well. Um, and I hope you've been doing fine. Welcome back. Um, I don't really know where to start. I'm just in a really good mood. It's bright and early. It is Monday morning, the 29th at like 4 a.m. Um, but um, I've got like a really good. I don't really think I have anything because I don't, but they just have a new perspective. Yesterday, I actually ended up getting baptized. Again, I actually got baptized in '03, and I ended up getting rebaptized yesterday. And I just so in awe of God and how good He is and how wonderful He is. And so I'm very blessed to be here. Um, Jen, from what I've been seeing of your pictures, gosh, it just looks so beautiful up there. And you got your reindeers in the snow, which I love. I so love that for you. Becca, I hope you're feeling a little bit better. Becca told me the other day she wasn't feeling too great. So I really hope you're feeling better. So let's dive in today. A part of me wants to reread chapter 10 because chapter 10 in the book of Matthew is just, it's so good. And not that we brazed over it the last time, I just really think that this chapter is wonderful. And I kind of want to give it another go. I did want to do a deep dive in it. But as of late, I just want, I just want to be more focused on the word and more focused on God. And, He does tell us to go and preach His word or try to get more people to come to Him. And so I just really want to start today back in chapter 10. I know we finished off yesterday or the last time on it, but this time I would really like to start with it and then we'll keep going. So I hope you have your coffee ready. I actually bought mine yesterday and I just didn't finish all of it. So I actually just added more ice. Just added more ice to it. And decided to keep on going. But let's get started. Jesus sends out the 12. Chapter 10, book of Matthew. Jesus called his 12 disciples to him and gave them authority to drive out impure spirits and to heal every disease and sickness. These are the names of the 12 apostles. First, Simon, who is called Peter, his brother Andrew, James, the son of Zebedee, his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, James, Matthew, the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus and Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. These 12 disciples sent out with the following instructions: do not go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. I'm so silly. Do not go among the Gentiles or enter any of the towns of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. As you go, proclaim this message: the kingdom of heaven has come near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely have, as you have received, freely give. Verse 9. Do not get any gold or silver or copper to take with you in your belts, no bag for the journey or extra shirt or sandals or a staff, for the worker is worth his keep. Whatever town or village you enter, search there for some worthy person and stay in their house until you leave. As you enter the home, give it your greeting. If the home is deserving, let your peace rest on it. If it is not, let your peace return to you. If anyone will not welcome you or listen to your words, leave that home or town and shake off the dust off your feet. Truly I tell you, it'll be more bearable for Sodom and Gomorrah on the day of judgment than for that town. Verse 16. And this one is so important. I am sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore, be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves. Be on your guard. You will be handed over to the local councils and be flogged in the synagogues. On my account, you will be brought before governors and kings as witnesses to them and to the Gentiles. But when they arrest you, do not worry for what to say or how to say it. At that time you will be given what to say, for it will not be you speaking, but the Spirit of your Father speaking through you. That is so important, because there have been plenty of times people have been they've been persecuted for just believing in Jesus, and that these 4 verses right here, God knows He's sending you out to be sheep among wolves. He already knows that this is dangerous. And as much as, we want to believe that there's some people who are really good, sometimes we can encounter them for sure, but not always, just like we saw a few weeks ago and how we see almost every day. And this one day he says, be as shrewd as snakes, so be on your guard, but be as innocent as doves. Verse 21, brother will betray brother to death, as a father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. You will be hated by everyone because of me, but the one who stands firm to the end will truly be saved. When you are persecuted in one's place, flee to the other. Truly I tell you, you will not finish going through the towns of Israel before the Son of Man comes. Verse 24, the student is not above the teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for students to be like their teachers, and servants to be like their masters. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebub, how much more the members of his household? Verse 26, so do not be afraid of them, for there is nothing concealed that will be disclosed, or hidden that will be made known. What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roofs. Do not be afraid for those who kill the body, but cannot kill the spirit. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside your Father's care, and even very hairs on your head will be numbered. So don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. Sorry, I was feeling something. Verse 32. Whoever acknowledges me before others, I will acknowledge before my Father in heaven. But whoever disowns me before others, I will disown them before my Father in heaven. Verse 34. Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to turn a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Man's enemies will be members of his own household. Anyone who loves their father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves their son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Whoever does not take up their cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Whoever finds their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. Verse 40. Anyone who welcomes you welcomes me, and anyone who welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet as a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever welcomes a righteous person as a righteous person will receive a righteous person's reward. And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones who is my disciple, truly I tell you, that person will certainly not lose their reward. All right. Now we're on to chapter 11. I'm actually really excited about this one too because of John the Baptist. Matthew 11, verse 1. After Jesus had finished instructing his 12 disciples, he went on from there to teach and preach in the towns of Galilee. When John, who was in prison, heard about the deeds of the Messiah, he sent his disciples to ask him, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else?" Jesus replied, Hold on. All right, hold on, we're going to pause for a second because I got a little confused because I didn't realize that John the Baptist was in jail. So I went and figured it out. So, and we'll learn more in chapter 14, but right now John the Baptist is in prison because he confronted the king about his marriage, because his marriage was unlawful technically, and so we'll learn more about that in chapter 14. But that's for right now. John's in prison because he confronted the king, and the king didn't like what he said. All right. So we're going to start over. After Jesus had finished instructing the 12 disciples, he went on from there to teach and preach in the towns of Galilee. When John, who was in prison, heard about the deeds of the Messiah, he sent his disciples to ask him, "Are you the one who is to come, or should we expect someone else?" Jesus replied, "Go back and report to John what you hear and see. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cleansed, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and good news is proclaimed to the poor. Blessed is anyone who does not stumble on the account of me." Verse 7. As John's disciples were leaving, Jesus began to speak to the crowd about John. "What did you go out into the wilderness to see? A reed swayed by the wind? If not, what did you go out to see? A man dressed in fine clothes? No. Those who wear fine clothes are in king's palaces. Then what did you go out to see? A prophet? Yes, I tell you, and more than a prophet. This is the one whom it is written, 'I will send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare the way for you.' Truly I tell you, among those born of women, there has not risen anyone greater than John the Baptist. Yet whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. For the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has been subjected to violence. Violent people have been raiding it. For all the prophets and all the law prophesied until John. And if you are willing to accept it, he is the Elijah who has come. Whoever has ears, let them hear. Verse 16. To what can I compare this generation? They are like children sitting in the marketplaces and calling out to others. We played the pipe for you, and you did not dance. We sang a dirge, and you did not mourn. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they said, he has a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, here is a glutton and drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. But wisdom is proved right by her deeds. Verse 20. Then Jesus began to denounce the towns in which most of his miracles have been performed, because they did not repent. Woe to you, Chorazin! Woe to you, Bethsaida! For in the miracles that were performed in you had been performed in Tyre and Sidon, and they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I tell you, it will be more bearable for Tyre and Sidon on the day of judgment than you. And you, Capernaum, will be lifted to the heaven. In you, Capernaum, will you be lifted to the heavens? No, you will go down to Hades. For if the miracles that were performed in you had been performed in Sodom, it would have remained to this day. But I tell you that it will be more bearable for Sodom on the day of judgment than you. Verse 25. At that time Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them into children. Yes, Father, for this is what we are pleased to do. Yes, Father, for this is what you were pleased to do. Verse 27. All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those who know the Son chooses to reveal him. Verse 28. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew chapter 12. Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. At the time Jesus went through the grain fields of the Sabbath, his disciples were hungry and began to pick some of the heads of grain and eat them. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to him, Look, your disciples are doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath. He answered, verse 3, Haven't you read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and he and his companions ate the consecrated bread, which was not unlawful for them to do, but only for the priests. Or haven't you read in the Sabbath, or haven't you read the law that the priests on Sabbath duty in the temple desecrate the Sabbath, and yet you are innocent? I tell you that something greater than the temple is here. If you had known what these words mean, I desire mercy, not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the innocent, for the Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath. Verse 9. Going from that place, he went to their synagogue, and a man with a shriveled hand was there. Looking for a reason to bring charges against Jesus, they asked him, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? He said to them, If any of you has a sheep and it falls into the pit on the Sabbath, will you not take hold of it and lift it out? How much more valuable is a person than a sheep? Therefore, it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Then he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." So it is stretched out, and it was completely restored, just as sound as the other. But the Pharisees went out and plotted how they might kill Jesus. Verse 15. Aware of this, Jesus withdrew from that place. A large crowd followed him, and he healed all who were ill. He warned them not to tell others about him. This was to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. Verse 18. Here is my servant, whom I have chosen, the one I love, in whom I delight. I will put my spirit on him, and he will proclaim justice to the nations. He will not quarry or cry out. No one will hear his voice in the streets. A bruised reed will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out, till he has brought justice through to victory. In his name of the nations will put their hope. Verse 22. Then they brought him a demon-possessed man who was blind and mute, and Jesus healed him, so that he could both talk and see. All the people were astonished and said, "Could this be the son of David?" But when the Pharisees heard this, they said, "It is only Beelzebub, and the prince of demons, that this fellow drives out demons." Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them, "Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. If Satan drives out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand? And if I drive out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your people drive them out? So then they will be your judges. But if it is by the Spirit of God that I drive out demons, then the kingdom of God has come upon you." Verse 29. Or again, how can anyone enter a strong man's house or carry off his possessions unless he first ties up the strong man? Then he can plunder his house. Verse 30. Whoever is not with me is against me. Whoever does not gather with me scatters. So I tell you, every kind of sin and slander can be forgiven, but blasphemy against the Spirit will not be forgiven. Anyone who speaks a word against the Son of Man will be forgiven, but anyone who speaks against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, either in his age or in the age to come. Make a tree good, and its fruit will be good. Make a tree bad, and its fruits will be bad. For a tree is recognized by its fruit. You brood of vipers, how can you, who are evil, say anything good? For the mouth speaks what the heart is full. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in him, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in him. But I tell you that everyone will have to give an account on the day of judgment for every empty word they will have spoken. For by your words you will be acquitted, but by your words you will be condemned. Wow. 1 second. I need some coffee. Wow. Verse 38. Then some of the Pharisees and teachers of the law said to him, "Teacher, we want to see a sign from you." He answered, "A wicked and adulterous generation asks for a sign, but none will be given it except the sign of the prophet Jonah. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of a huge fish, so the Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the hearts of the earth. The men of Nineveh will stand up at the judgment of this generation and condemn it, for they repented at the preaching of Jonah, and now something greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will rise at the judgment of the generations and condemn it, for she comes from the ends of the earth to listen to Solomon's wisdom, and now something greater than Solomon is here. Verse 43. When an impure spirit comes out of a person, and it goes through arid places seeking rest and does not find it, then it says, I will return to a house I left. When it arrives, it finds the house unoccupied, swept clean, and put in order. Then it goes and takes with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there. And the final condition of that person who is worse than the first, that is how it will be with its wicked generation. Oh, wow. Sorry, I just had to go back and kind of reread it because I was a little curious. And so basically it's saying that if they cast out a demon, and it's trying to find a place, and if it goes back, it'll take 7 other more wicked spirits than itself. Wow. Sorry. Verse 46. While Jesus was still talking to the crowd, his mother and brothers stood outside wanting to speak to him. Someone told him, your mother and brothers are standing outside wanting to speak to you. He replied to him, who is my mother and who are my brothers? Pointing to his disciples, he said, here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother. Oh man. Sometimes as I've gone through reading some of these chapters out of Matthew, I'm just blown away. You know what I mean? Absolutely blown away. I think my computer screen closed. I'm not sure. I think the video stopped. Well, I'll just do it that way. I think it's because of the ads, maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry. Really hope my face hasn't been frozen like that for a minute. So, anyways, back to chapter 12. So we just finished. Let's keep going. Chapter 13. The same day Jesus went out to the house and sat by the lake. Such a huge crowd gathered around him that he got into the boat and sat in it, while all the people stood there ashore. Then he told them many things in parables, saying, a farmer went out to sow his seeds, and as he was scattering the seeds, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seeds fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seeds fell on good soil, where it was produced a crop 160 or 30 times what it was sown. Whoever has ears, let them hear. Verse 10. The disciples came to him and asked, "Why did you speak to the people in parables?" He replied, "Because the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. Whoever has will be given more. Whoever has will be given more, and they will be in abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they will be given will be taken from them. This is why I speak to them in parables. Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand. In them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. You will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. For the people's hearts have become closed. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, and understood with their hearts, and turn. I would heal them. Verse 16. But blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I tell you, many prophets and righteous people longed to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. Listen verse 18. Listen then to what the parable of the sower means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what is sown in their heart. This is the seed sown along the path. The seed falling on the rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since they do not have root, they last only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. The seed falling among the thorns refers to anyone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of the wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. But the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop yielding 100, 60, or 30 times what is sown. Verse 24. Jesus told another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seeds in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemies came and sowed weeds among the wheat, and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servants came to him and said, "Sir, didn't you sow good seeds in your field? Where then did all the weeds come from?" "An enemy did this," he replied. The servants asked him, "Do you want us to go and pull them up?" "No," he answered, "because while you are pulling the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat and bring them to my barn." Verse 31. He told another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of the seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of the garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches. Verse 53. He told them still another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked through all the dough. Jesus spoke all these things in the crowds in parables. He did not say anything to them without using a parable. So was fulfilled what he was spoken through the prophet. I opened my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the creation of the world. Verse 36. Then he left the crowd and went into the house. His disciples came to find him and explained to the parable of the weed in the field. He answered, "The one who sowed the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the word. The good seeds stand for the people of the kingdom. The weeds are the people of the evil one, and the enemy who's sown them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and harvesters are angels. As the weeds are pulled up, burned into the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out the kingdom, everything that causes sin, and all who do evil. They will throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who has ears, let them hear." Verse 44. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all what he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it. Verse 47. Once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was let down into the lake and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up to the shore. They sat down and collected the good fish in baskets and threw the bad away. This is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into a blazing furnace, where they will be weeping and gnawing of teeth. Verse 51. Have you understood these things? Jesus asked. Yes, they replied. Verse 52. He said to them, therefore, every teacher of the law who has become a disciple of the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house who brings out of his store new treasures of as well as old. Verse 53. When Jesus had finished these parables, he moved on from there. Coming to his hometown, he began teaching the people in their synagogues, and they were amazed. Where did this man get his wisdom and these miracles power and these miraculous powers? They said, Isn't this the carpenter's son? Isn't his mother the name Mary? And aren't his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Aren't all his sisters with us? Where then did this man get all these things? And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to him, a prophet is not without honor except his own town and in his own home. And he did not do many miracles there because of their lack of faith. Well, before we dive into chapter 14, that first thing is John the Baptist beheaded. Ooh, let me get a big swig of coffee because this is going to be a ride, isn't it? At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch. Don't get mad if I butcher a word every now and then. So Herod heard reports about Jesus, and he said to his attendants, this is John the Baptist. He has risen from the dead. That is why miraculous powers are at work in him. Now Herod had John arrested and bound him and put him in prison because Herodias, his brother's Philip's wife. For John had been saying to him, "It is not lawful for you to have her." Herod wanted to kill John, but was afraid of the people because they considered John a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced for the guest and pleased Herod so much that he promised with an oath to give her whatever she asked. Prompted by her mother, she said, "Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist." The king was distressed, but because of his oaths and his dinner guest, he ordered that her request be granted, and John beheaded in prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, who carried it to her mother. John's disciples came and took his body and buried it. They went and told Jesus. Oh man. That just hurts my heart. That's why he died. He was just speaking the truth. Verse 13. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a surge of crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food." Jesus replied, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." Verse 17. "We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. Verse 18. "Bring them here to me." And he directed the people to sit down on the grass, taking the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish. Looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then the people gave them to the disciples. Then he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. The disciples picked up 12 baskets of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate was about 5,000 men, besides the women and children. Verse 22. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get in the boat and go ahead of him on the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat had already been a considerable distance from the land, buffeted by the waves because of the winds against it. Verse 25. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said, "Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid." "Lord, if it's with you, tell me to come to you on the water." He said, "Come." Then Peter got down on the boat and walked on the water and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You have little faith. Why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat whispered and worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." Verse 34. When they had crossed over, they landed in Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all of the surrounding country. People brought their sick to him and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of their cloak, and all who touched were healed. Well, they didn't. Definitely nobody warned me about that. The beheading of John the Baptist. Oh, man. But out of that, I mean, he fed 5,000 people and walked on water. Matthew 15. Then some Pharisees and teachers of the law came to Jesus from Jerusalem and asked, "Why do your disciples break the tradition of the elders? They don't wash their hands before they eat." Jesus replied, "And why did you break the command of God for the sake of your tradition? For God said, 'Honor your mother and father,' and anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. But you say that if anyone declares that what might have been used to help their father or mother is devoted to God, they are not to honor their father or mother with it. Thus you nullify the word of God and forsake your tradition. You hypocrites! Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you. These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules." Verse 10, Jesus called the crowd to him and said, "Listen and understand. What goes into someone's mouth does not defile them, but what comes out of their mouth, that is what defiles them." Verse 12, then the disciples came to him and asked, "Do you know that the Pharisees were offended when they heard this?" He replied, "Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be pulled up by its roots. Leave them. They are blind guides. If the blind leads the blind, both will fall into a pit." Peter said, "Explain the parable to us." Verse 16, "Are you still so dull?" Jesus asked them. "Don't you see that whatever enters the mouth goes into the stomach and then comes out of the body? But the things that come out of a person's mouth will come from the heart, and these defile them. For out of the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, false testimony, slander. These are what defile a person, but eating with unwashed hands does not defile them." Verse 21. Leaving that place, Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman from that vicinity came to him crying out, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. My daughter is demon-possessed and suffering terribly." Jesus did not answer a word, so his disciples came to him and urged him, "Send her away, for she is crying out after us." He said, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel." The woman came and knelt before him. "Lord, help me," she said. He replied, "It is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs." "Yes, it is, Lord," she said. "Even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus said to her, "Woman, you have great faith. Your request is granted." And the daughter was healed at that moment. Verse 29. Jesus left there and went along the Sea of Galilee. Then he went up on the mountainside and sat down. Great crowds came to him, bringing the lame, the blind, the cripple, the mute, and many others, and laid them at his feet, and he healed them. The people were amazed when they saw the mute speaking, the crippled made well, the lame walking, the blind seeing, and they praised the God of Israel. Verse 32, Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "I have compassion for these people. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way." His disciples answered, Where could we go get enough bread for this in this remote place to feed such a crowd? How many loaves do you have? 7, and a few small fish, they replied. Verse 35, he told the crowd to sit on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and when he had given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples, and in turn to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. Afterwards, the disciples picked up 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate were 4,000 men, besides the women and children. After Jesus had sent the crowd away, he got into a small boat and went to the vicinity of Magdan. Matthew chapter 16, verse 1. The Pharisees and Sadducees came to see Jesus and tested him by asking him to show them a sign from heaven. Verse 2, he replied, when evening comes, you say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red, and in the morning, today it will be stormy, for the sky is red and overcast. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of these times. A wicked and adulterous generation look for signs, but none will be given it except the sign of Jonah. Jesus then left them and went away. Verse 5. When they went across the lake, the disciples forgot to take bread. Be careful, Jesus said to them. Be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees. They discussed among themselves, it is because we didn't bring any bread. Verse 8. Aware of their discussion, Jesus asked, you have little faith. Why are you taking among yourselves about the having no bread? Do you still not understand? Do you remember the 5 loaves for the 5,000? And how many basketfuls did you gather? Or even 7 loaves for the 4,000? And how many basketfuls you gathered? How is it you don't understand that I was not talking to you about bread, but be on your guard against the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees? Then they understood that he was not telling them to be on guard against the yeast used in bread, but against the teachings of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Verse 13. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say the Son of Man is? They replied, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. But what about you? He asked. Who do you say I am? Simon Peter answered, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Jesus replied, Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. Then he ordered his disciples not to tell anyone that he was the Messiah. Verse 21. For that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed, and on the third day be raised to life. Verse 22, Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Never, Lord, this shall never happen to you. Jesus turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are stumbling. Verse 22, Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. Never, Lord, he said, this shall never happen to you. Verse 23, Jesus turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. Then Jesus said to his disciples, Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done. Verse 28, Truly I tell you, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Chapter 17, verse 1. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brothers of James, and led them up on a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and the clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah, talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him. Verse 6, When the disciples heard this, they fell face down on the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. Get up and don't be afraid. When they looked, they saw no one except Jesus. Verse 9, As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus instructed them, Do not tell anyone what you've seen until the Son of Man has been risen from the dead. The disciples asked him, Then why do the teachers of the law say that Elijah must come first? Jesus replied, To be sure Elijah comes and restore all things. But I tell you, Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him, but have done to him everything they wished. In the same way, the Son of Man is going to suffer at their hands. Then the disciples understood that he was talking about them and John the Baptist. Verse 14, When they came to the crowd, a man approached Jesus and knelt before him. Lord, have mercy on my son. He has seizures and is suffering greatly. He often falls into the fire or into the water. I brought him to your disciples, but they could not heal him. You unbelieving and perverse generation, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy here to me. Jesus rebuked the demon, and it came out of the boy, and he was healed at that moment. The disciples came to speak to Jesus in private and asked, Why couldn't we drive it out? He replied, Because you have little faith. Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will be moved. Nothing will be impossible for you. Verse 22, When they came together in Galilee, he said to them, The Son of Man is going to be delivered into the hands of men. They will kill him, and on the 3rd day he will be who will be raised to life." And the disciples were filled with grief. Verse 24. After Jesus and his disciples arrived in Capernaum, the collectors of the 2 drachma temple tax came to Peter and asked, "Does your teacher pay the temple tax?" Verse 25. "Yes, he does," he replied. When Peter came into the house, Jesus was the first to speak. "What do you think, Simon? For whom do the kings of the earth collect duty and taxes? From their children or from others?" "From others," Peter answered. "Then the children are exempt." Jesus said to him, "But so that we may not cause offense, go to the lake and throw out your line. Take the first fish you catch, open its mouth, and you will find a 4 drachma coin. Take it and give it to them for my tax and yours." Matthew chapter 18. At the time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" Verse 2. He called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me." Verse 16. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung up from their neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come. If your hand and your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and to be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out. Throw it away. It is better for you to enter with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and be thrown into the fire of hell. Verse 10. See that you do not despise one of the little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heaven always see the face of my Father in heaven. What do you think? If a man owns 100 sheep and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hill and go look for the one that wandered off? And if he finds it, truly I tell you, he is happier about the 1 sheep than about the 99 that did not wander off. In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should perish. Verse 15. If your brother or sister sins, go and point out their faults, just between the 2 of you. If they listen to you, you have won them over. But if they will not listen, take 1 or 2 others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If they still refuse to listen, tell it to the church. If they refuse to listen even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector. Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loose in heaven. Again, truly I tell you that if 2 of you on earth agree about anything they ask for, it will be done for them by my Father in heaven. For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them. Verse 21. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times?" Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and children and all that they had be sold to repay the debt. At this, the servant fell on his knees before them. Please be patient with me, he begged. I will pay back everything. The servant's master took pity on him, canceled the debt, and let him go. Verse 28. But when the servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins. He grabbed him and began to choke him. Pay back what you owe me, he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, be patient with me, I'll pay you back. But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay back the debt. When the other servants saw what happened, they were outraged and went and told their master everything that happened. Then the master called the servant in. You wicked servant, I canceled all the debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had the mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you? In his anger, the master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother and sisters from your heart. I just want to go back to this. Because this chapter is crazy. Not crazy, but it's insightful. We get the wandering sheep parable. If something causes you to sin, Sorry, I'm just kind of reading over this. I'll do that on my own time. Matthew 19, divorce. When Jesus had finished saying these things, he left Galilee and went to the region of Judea, to the other side of the Jordan. Large crowds followed him, and he healed them there. Some Pharisees came to him to test him, and they asked, Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any and every reason? Haven't you read, he replied, that in the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said, For this reason a man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife, and the two will become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate. Verse 7, Why then, they asked, did Moses command that a man give his wife a certificate of divorce and send her away? Jesus replied, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because your hearts were hard. But it was not this way from the beginning. I tell you that anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another woman commits adultery. The disciples to him, If this is the situation between a husband and wife, it is better not to marry. Jesus replied, Not everyone can accept this word, but only those to whom it has been given. For there are eunuchs who were born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others. And there are those who chose to live like the eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept this should accept it. Verse 13. When people brought little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and pray for them, the disciples rebuked them. Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me. Do not hinder them. The kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these." When he placed his hands on them, he went from there. Verse 16. Just then a man came up and asked, "Teacher, what good thing must I do to get eternal life?" 17. Why do you ask me about what is good? Jesus replied, "There's only one who is good. If you want to enter life, keep the commandments." "Which ones?" he said. Jesus replied, "You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony. Honor your mother and father, and love your neighbor as yourself." "All these I have kept," the young man said. "What do I still lack?" Jesus answered, If you want to be perfect, go, sell your possessions and give to the poor, and you will have treasures in heaven. Then come follow me." When the young man heard this, he went away sad because he had great wealth. Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Truly I tell you, it is hard for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of heaven. Again, I tell you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of heaven." When the disciples heard this, they were greatly astonished and asked, "Who then can be saved?" Jesus looked at them. With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Peter answered them, "We have left everything to follow you. Then will there be for us? What then will there be for us?" Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, after renewal of all things, when the Son of Man sits on his glorious throne, you have followed me and will sit on the 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And anyone who has left houses and brothers or sisters or fathers or mothers or wives or children or fields for my sake will receive 100 times that much and will inherit eternal life. But many who are first will be last, and many who are last will be first." Matthew chapter 20, verse 1. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire workers for his vineyard. He agreed to pay them a denarius for the day and sent them to his vineyard. Verse 3. About 9 in the morning he went out and saw others standing in the marketplace doing nothing. He told them, "You also go and work in my vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right." So they went. He went out again, and about noon there were about 3 in the afternoon, and did the same thing. And about 5 in the afternoon he went out and found others standing around and asked, "Why have you been standing here all day long doing nothing?" Verse 7, "Because no one hired us," they answered. He said to them, "You also go and work in my vineyard." When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his foreman, "Call the workers and pay them their wages, beginning with the last ones hired, going on to the first." The workers who were hired about 5 in the afternoon came and received a denarius. So when those who were first hired, they were expected to receive more, but each one of them also received a denarius. When they received it, they began to grumble against their landowner. "These who were hired last only worked 1 hour," they said, "and you have made them equal to us who have been borne the burden of the work in the heat of the day." Verse 13, but he answered one of them, "I'm not being unfair to you, friend. Didn't you agree to work for a denarius? Take your pay and go. I want to give the ones who was hired last the same I gave you. Don't I have the right to do what I want with my own money? Or are you envious because I am generous?" Verse 16, so the last will be first, and the first will be last. Verse 17, Now Jesus was going up to Jerusalem. On the way, he took the 12 aside and said to them, "We are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the teachers of the law. They will condemn him to death, and will hand him over to the Gentiles to be mocked, flogged, and crucified. On the third day, he will be raised to life." A mother's request. Verse 20. Then the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with her sons, and kneeling down and asked a favor of him. "What is it that you want?" She said, "Grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom." "You don't know what you are asking," Jesus said to them. "Can you drink the cup I'm going to drink?" "We can," they answered. Verse 23. Jesus said to them, "You will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right or left is not mine to grant. These places belong for those whom have been prepared by my Father." When the 10 heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over," and verse 24. When the 10 heard this, they were indignant of the two brothers. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave. Just as Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as ransom for many." Verse 29. As Jesus and his disciples were leaving Jericho, a large crowd followed him. 2 blind men were sitting by the roadside when they heard that Jesus was going by, and they shouted, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." The Lord rebuked them and told them to be quiet, just as they shouted all the louder, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." Jesus stopped and called them. "What do you want me to do for you?" he asked. "Lord, we want our sight." Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes. Immediately they received their sight and followed him. Chapter 21. As they approached Jerusalem, they came to Bethphage on the Mount of Olives. Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go to the villages ahead of you, and at once you will find a donkey tied there, with her colt by her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, just say that the Lord needs them, and they will send them right away." This took place to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet. "Say to daughter Zion, see your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey." Verse 6. The disciples went and did as Jesus had instructed them, and they brought the donkey and the colt, and placed their cloaks on them for Jesus to sit on. A large crowd spread their cloaks on the road, while the others cut branches of trees to spread on the road. The crowds that went ahead of him, those who followed, shouted, "Hosanna, Son of David! Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest!" When Jesus entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred and asked, "Who is this?" The crowds answered, "This is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth in Galilee." Verse 12. Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and benches of those selling doves. It is written, he said to them, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers. Verse 14. The blind and the lame came at the temple and healed them. But when the chief priests and the teachers of the law saw the wonderful things he did, and the children shouting in the temple courts, Hosanna, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were indignant. Verse 16. Do you hear what these children are saying? They asked him. Yes, Jesus replied. Have you never read, from the lips of children and infants, you, Lord, have called forth your praise? And left them and went out to the city of Bethany, where he spent the night. Early in the morning, as Jesus was on his way back to the city, he was hungry. Seeing a fig tree by the road, he went up and found nothing on it except leaves. Then he said, may you never bear fruit again. Immediately the tree withered. When the disciples saw this, they were amazed. How did the fig tree wither so quickly? Jesus replied, I truly tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only can you do what has been done to the fig tree, but also you can say to this mountain, go throw yourself into the sea, and it will be done. If you believe, you'll receive whatever you ask for in prayer. The authority of Jesus questioned. Verse 23. Jesus entered the temple courts, and while he was teaching, the chief priests and the elders of the people came to him. By what authority are you doing these things? They asked. And who gave you this authority? Verse 24. Jesus replied, I will also ask you one question. If you answer me, I will tell you by what authority I am doing these things. John's baptism, where did it come from? Was it from heaven or of human origin? They discussed it among themselves. If we say from heaven, he will ask, then why don't you believe in him? But if we say of human origins, we are afraid of the people, for they all hold that John was a prophet. So they answered Jesus, we don't know. Then he said, neither will I tell you by what authority I am doing these things. Verse 28. What do you think? There was a man who had 2 sons. He went to the first one and said, Son, go and work today in the vineyard. I will not, he answered, but later changed his mind and went. Then the father went to the other son and said the same thing. He answered, I will, sir, but he did not go. Which of the 2 did what his father wanted? The first, they answered. So Jesus said to them, truly I tell you, the tax collectors from the prostitutes are entering the kingdom of heaven ahead of you. For John came to you to show you the way of righteousness, and you did not even believe him, but the tax collectors and prostitutes did. And even after you saw this, you did not repent and believe him. Verse 33. Listen to another parable. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard. He put a wall around it, dug its winepress in it, and built a watchtower. When he rented the vineyard to some farmers who moved to another place, when the harvest time approached, he sent his servants to the tenants to collect his fruit. The tenants, seized by his servants, they beat one, killed one, and stoned a third. Then he sent other servants to them, more than the first time, and the tenants threatened them the same way. Last of all, he sent his sons to them. They will respect my sons, he said. But when the tenants saw the son, they said to each other, this is their home, this is their heir. Come, let's kill them and take his inheritance. So they took him and threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. Verse 40. Therefore, when the owner of the vineyards come, what will he do to those tenants? Verse 41. He will bring those wretches and wretched end. He will bring those wretches to a wretched end, and he will rent the vineyard to other tenants, who will give him a share of the crop at harvest time. Verse 42. Jesus said to him, have you never read the scriptures? The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. The Lord has done this, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Therefore, I tell you that the kingdom of heaven will be taken away from you and given to people who will produce its fruits. Anyone who falls on this stone will be broken to pieces. Anyone on whom it falls, it will be crushed. Verse 45. When the chief priests and the Pharisees heard Jesus' parables, they knew what he was talking about them. They looked for a way to arrest him, but they were afraid of the crowd because the people held that he was a prophet. Chapter 22. Jesus spoke to them again in parable, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his servants to those who had been invited to the banquet to tell them to come, but they refused to come. Verse 4. Then he sent some more servants and said, tell those who have been invited that I've prepared my dinner. My oxen and fattened cattle have been butchered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet. Verse 5. But they paid no attention and went off, one to his field, another to his business. The rest seized his servants, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged. He sent his army to destroy those murderers and burn the city. Verse 8. Then he said to his servants, the wedding banquet is ready, but those I have invited did not deserve to come. So go to the street corners and invite the banquet anyone you can find. So the servants went out into the streets and gathered all the people they could find, the bad as well as the good, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. Verse 11. But when the king came to see the guest, he noticed a man there was who was not wearing wedding clothes. He said, how did you get in here without wedding clothes, friend? The man was speechless. Then the king told the attendants, tie him hand and foot and throw him outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnawing of teeth. For many are invited, but few are chosen. Then the Pharisees went out and laid plans to trap him in his words. They sent their disciples to teach him along the Herodians. Teacher, they said, we know that you are a man of integrity and that you teach the way of God in accordance to the truth. You aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are. Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, said, you hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? Show me the coin used for paying the tax. They brought him a denarius. And he said, whose image is this? And whose inscription? Caesar's, they replied. Then he said to them, so give it back to Caesar, and what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. And when they heard this, they were amazed, so they left and went away. Verse 23. The same day the Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him with the question, teacher, they said, Moses told us that if a man dies without having children, his brother must marry the widow and raise up offspring for him. Now there were 7 brothers among us, and the first to marry had died. And since he had no children, he left his wife to his brother. The same thing happened for the second and third brother, right on down to the 7th. Finally, the woman died. Now then, at the resurrection, whose wife will she be of the 7, since all of them were married to her? Verse 29. Jesus replied, You are in error because you do not know the scriptures of the power of God. At the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like angels in heaven. But about the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what God has said to you? I am the God of Abraham and God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. When the crowds heard this, they were astonished at his teachings. Verse 34. Hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together. One of them, an expert in law, tested him with this question, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus replied, Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like this, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on to these commandments. Whose son is the Messiah? Verse 41. While the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them, What do you think about the Messiah? Whose son is he? The son of David, they replied. And he said to them, How is it then that David, speaking by the Spirit, calls him Lord? For he says, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. If David calls him Lord, then how can he be his son? No one could say a word in a reply. From that day, no one dared to ask him any more questions. Chapter 23. Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, The teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you, but do not do what they tell you to what they do. But do not do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. They tie up heavy, cumbersome loads and put them on other people's shoulders, but they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make their phylacterites, widen the tassels along their garments, and their garments long. Oh, okay. So if you see this little footnote as saying that little phylacteries is a box containing scripture verses. All right, so we're gonna verse 5. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make their phylacteries wide and their tassels on their garments long. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and to be called rabbi by others. But if you were not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher and you are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth Father, for you have one Father, and he is in heaven. Nor you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant. Those who exalt themselves will be humbled, but for those who humble themselves will be exalted. Verse 13. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites, you travel over land and sea to win a single convert, and when you have succeeded, you make them twice as much as of a child of hell as you are. Woe to you, blind guides! You say, if anyone swears by the temple, it means nothing, but anyone who swears by the gold of the temple is bound to its oath. You blind fools, which is greater, the gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred? You also say, if anyone swears by the altar, it means nothing, but anyone who swears by the gift on the altar is bound by that oath. You blind men, which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? Therefore, anyone who swears by the altar swears by it and everything on it. And anyone who swears by the temple swears by it, and anyone who dwells in it. And anyone who swears by heaven swears by God's throne, and anyone who sits on it. Verse 23. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give a tenth of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin, but you have neglected that there are more important matters of law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former. You blind guides, you strain out a gnat but swallow a camel. Verse 25. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrite! You clean outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, and then the outside will be clean. Verse 27. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of bones of the dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside you appear to be people as righteous, but on the inside you are full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Verse 29. Woe to you, teachers of law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves of the righteous. And you say, if we had lived in these days of our ancestors, we would have not taken part with them in shedding the blood of the prophets. So you testify against yourselves that you are descendants of those who murdered the prophets. But go ahead then and complete what your ancestors started. Verse 33. You snakes, you brood vipers, how will you escape being condemned to hell? Therefore I'm sending you prophets and sages and teachers. Some of them will kill and crucify. Others you will flog in your synagogues and pursue from town to town. And so upon you will come to the righteous blood that has been shed on earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel and to the blood of Zechariah son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. Truly I tell you, all of this will come to this generation. Verse 37. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you have killed the prophets and stoned those sent to you. How often I have longed to gather your children together, as hens gather their chicks under their wings, but you were not willing. Look at your house, it has left you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until I say, blessed is he comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Matthew 24, the destruction of the temple and the signs of end times. Jesus left the temple and was walking away from his disciples, and came up to him and called his attention to the buildings. Do you see all of these things? He asked. Truly I tell you, not one stone here will be left on another. Everyone will be thrown down. Verse 3. As Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately. Tell us, they said, when will this happen? What will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age? Jesus answered, "Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, claiming, 'I'm the Messiah.' I will deceive many. You will hear of wars, rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All of these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be prosecuted to death, and you will be hated by nations because of me. At that time, many will turn away from the faith and betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to the nations, and then the end will come." So when you see standing in the holy place abomination that causes desolation, spoken through the prophet of Daniel, let the reader understand. Oh, I'm sorry. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let no one on the housetop go down to take anything out of the house. Let no one in the field go back and get their cloak. How dreadful is it that it will be in those days for pregnant women and nursing mothers. Pray that your flight will not take place in winter or on the Sabbath, for then there will be great distress unequal from the beginning of the world until now, and never be equal again. Verse 22. If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive, but for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened. At that time, if anyone says to you, 'Look, here's the Messiah,' or 'There he is,' do not believe it. For false messiahs and prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. See, I have told you ahead of time." Verse 26. So if anyone tells you, "There he is out in the wilderness," do not go out, or "Here he is in the inner rooms," do not believe it. For as lightning that comes from the east is visible even in the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Where there is a crass, there the vultures will gather. Verse 29. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Then will appear the sign of the Son of Man is in heaven. And then all the peoples on earth will mourn when they say, "Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven, the power of great glory." And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Verse 32. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs gets tender and the leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Verse 36. But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it is the days of Noah, it will be coming of the Son of Man. I'm sorry, I butchered that. As in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in these days, before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. Up in the day of Noah entered the ark, and they knew nothing about what would happen till the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the becoming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left. 2 women will be grinding the handmill, one will be taken, the other left. Therefore, keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have left his house to be broken into. So you also must be ready, because Son of Man will come at an hour even when you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful and wise servant, whom the master has put in charge of the servants of his household, to give them their food at the proper time? It will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. Truly I tell you, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that his servant is wicked and says to himself, my master is staying away a long time, and he then begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of the servants will come one day, and when he does not expect him, at an hour he is not aware of, he will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnawing of teeth. Chapter 25. At the time the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps, but did not take any oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight the cry rang out, here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him. Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, give us your oil, our lamps are going out. No, they replied, there may not be enough oil for both us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves. But while they were on their way to buy oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were already went in with him to the wedding banquet. The virgins who were already went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the doors shut. Later the others also came. Lord, Lord, they said, open the door for us. But he replied, truly I tell you, I do not know you. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. Again, verse 14. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, the other 2 bags, and the other 1 bag, each according to his ability, and then he went on his journey. The man who received 5 bags of gold went at once to put his money to work and gained 5 more bags. So also the one who with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of the servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought another 5 bags. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold came. Master, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I put you in charge with many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Verse 24. Then the man who had received 1 bag, Master, he said, I knew you were a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown or gathered, where you have not scattered seeds. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. You wicked and lazy servant, his master replied. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown, or you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on a deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I could have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have taken abundance. Forever who has not, even what they shall have been taken from them. Whoever has been given, whoever will be given more, they will have more in abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them and thrown to, verse 30, and thrown that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnawing of teeth. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance to the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry and gave you meat, for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see a stranger and invite you in, and needing clothes and clothe you? And when did we see you sick, or in prison and go and visit you?" Verse 40. The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Verse 41. Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry and you gave me..." Oh, sorry. It's time for my daughter to wake up. All right, we're going to start this over back at 31 because I got a little lost in the sauce. I'm sorry. I think I've been reading a little too long. Sorry. Verse 31. When the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people from one another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on the right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance to the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you invited me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. And I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me." Verse 37. Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you as a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothed you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go and visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of the brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." 41. Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. And I was a stranger, and you did not invite me. And I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me." Verse 44, they also will answer, "Lord, when did I see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick in prison, and did not help you?" He will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me." Then they will go into eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life. If I'm not mistaken, we have 3 left. We have 3 chapters left. We're going to pick this back up tomorrow. And I probably shouldn't have closed that. This is my computer screen. I feel like we can pick this up tomorrow because I want to take some extra time to go over everything that we've done, because we started in chapter 10 and we ended in chapter 23. Or 26, I lied. Yeah. Yep, we're all the way right here. So we'll pick back up here at Matthew 26 tomorrow. And then we'll finish the book of Matthew. I hope you know how much I love you, and thank you for staying with me. Today was a long one. Today was a really long one, but it'll be okay. If it takes you a couple days to finish it, I understand, because I'm pretty sure I need to go back and reread some of that too. But I hope you have a wonderful day. Let's, sorry I was stretching a little bit. Let's end today in a little bit of prayer. Lord, I come to you today. And for everyone who is starting their morning, please, Lord, help them get through their day in a positive attitude. Let your light shine through them. If they need peace, bring them peace. If they need comfort, bring them comfort. Lord, you are good and you are wonderful, and I appreciate everything that you do for us. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Well, we will see you tomorrow.